What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm just hanging out on a lazy, dreary Houston afternoon in January. Having afternoon cup of coffee, trying to fight off the pushing 40 afternoon yawns as I yawn right there. Um, for this video, what I wanted to do is go through the top 15 books that I'm looking to read in 2025. So let's jump right on in. I'm reading probably about like 3 books a month right now. So hopefully, given on the length, so hopefully there's room for more than these. But these were the ones that I picked that based off of other reviews. Some of them I'll be going back through. I read a long time ago and want to read them again. And yeah, so these are the top 15 that I definitely want to get to. First one is going to be 11/22/63 by Stephen King. This is actually the next book that I'll be reading. It actually should be delivered today. So hoping to jump into that one this week. It's about a guy finds out like his best friend has a portal back to 1958, goes back in time to try to stop the Kennedy assassination. Supposed to be a really cool kind of like suspense thriller piece, time travel, also a 60s period piece. Really like that whole time. I really enjoyed Mad Men series. The like the cinematography, the descriptions of stuff of like the 60s. Anytime I'm out, antiquing and that kind of thing. I like the old like amber glass like ashtrays and stuff. So pretty cool. And it's Stephen King. I mean, don't really need to go into too much elaboration about it. I mean, it's the king of horror. It's some of the best reading you can do. So really looking forward to that one. Next one that we're going to be getting into is going to be The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. I've seen this one recommended from a few other, I guess, booktubers, book reviewers, or whatever you want to call us, avid readers that like to talk about it. It's about the H. Holmes that he built a hotel in Chicago around the time of the World's Fair in 1893, and he specifically designed this hotel as like a torture palace, like with all kind of hidden like passageways to get to rooms and stuff. And he basically set it up as his little like laboratory to murder people. And I think they might have him as the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history. I'm almost pretty sure he is, as far as like body count. There was some other people involved in it too, so I'm really looking forward to this one. It won an award. It comes highly reviewed, so definitely looking forward to checking that one out. Next one is going to be The King in Yellow by Robert William Chambers. This one goes way back. I think this was originally published in the 1800s as well. And it's a series of 5 short stories, very macabre, horror, supernatural elements. And the underlying theme is this king in yellow, and some passages like if you read them, you'll lose your mind kind of thing. There are mentions to Carcosa and that kind of thing. Me and my wife just got finished watching the season 1 of True Detective again for the probably fifth or sixth time. I I rate that season of True Detective is got to be one of the best television series ever put together with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. It's dynamite. Supernatural, evil spirit kind of thing, murder, true crime. It's great. And a lot of it was based on aspects from The King in Yellow. Like I just mentioned, the reference to Carcosa, The King in Yellow, the sign of it, and everything. So I'm really looking forward to reading this and getting the backdrop on how the series was inspired by these really old short stories. I think there's a series of 5 short stories on that. So looking forward to checking that one out. Then the next one is going to be Dune Part 2, Messiah. So I only have about 50 pages left of Dune Part 1. It's actually sitting on my reading chair back there. It's been the book I've been reading for the past week. And I'll be doing a book review on that one pretty soon. I've got it's kind of a mixed bag for me, to be honest. But I don't want to get into the book review aspect of it. We'll cross that bridge later. So Dune Messiah is part 2 of the Dune series. There's 6 books. This one picks up where I guess the first one leaves off, where he's already emperor of the universe, and it's not matching real well with the movies. But I'm gonna do another video on movies that were books and that kind of thing a little later. So looking forward to this one. It is a 6-part series. I'll spread it out. There's a lot of what I call king speak dialogue in Dune that I have a really hard time reading that stuff. Not being able to follow along, but I just don't like it for some reason. It annoys me. And I really like Game of Thrones and things like that, and high fantasy, and Renfest and stuff like that. But uh, when it comes to reading that much dialogue in Kingspeak, sometimes I want to throw the book against the wall. So we'll see how Dune Part 2 goes. Next one I want to read is Midnight in Chernobyl by Adam Higginbotham. This one comes highly reviewed by a number of people that I've seen recommend it. Books Are Sick, I think, recommended it. That channel is great. If you haven't checked it out, guy's got some really good content. Definitely give him a like, a subscribe, and check him out. This one is about the Chernobyl disaster that happened in, I think, the late 80s, early 90s time period. And it was all true story. They did an HBO series on that. If you haven't checked it out, highly recommend checking out. It was really good. And that thing is still kind of active. It's just contained. But there's a huge swath of land over there that you cannot get into, and you have to wear the meters to check the radiation and stuff like that. So this is a nonfiction that I'm really looking forward to checking out. The next one is going to be The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ by Roger Stone with Mike Colapietro. This one's going to be pretty interesting. So I like conspiracy stuff, like government cover-ups. Like I read the Chaos book and things like that. So this one should be interesting. This isn't, again, in that 60s time period. Yeah, LBJ, JFK, and Roger Stone always does a great job. So really looking forward to that one. Next is going to be John Steinbeck's East of Eden. John Steinbeck is my favorite author of all time. I've been reading all of his books since I was in, I think, latter years of middle school. I think it all started with Of Mice and Men. No, it started with The Pearl. That's what it was. The Pearl was the first one I ever read. And like all John Steinbeck novels, the ending leaves you either in tears or really pissed off, banging your head against the wall. And he just kind of has that effect in those endings. East of Eden, I read this one before a really long time ago. A couple of these, like I said, I'm revisiting. This was, from my stoner years as a lifeguard, trying to pass the time on rainy days. And I read it, didn't retain a lot of it for obvious reasons as a stoner lifeguard. And I'd like to revisit it because he's my favorite author. Travels with Charlie. I haven't done a full book review on that, but it's my favorite book ever. I've read it probably 5 or 6 times. It's great. I love the way that he can paint a picture. So John Steinbeck, East of Eden, definitely going to revisit this one this year. The next one is going to be Fatherland by Robert Harris. This picks up back in World War II and is supposed to be what the world looked like if the Third Reich and the Nazis had won World War II. A fictional, story. I think there is a murder plot involved with it, so this should be interesting. World War II. I guess as far as like history buff is concerned, I'm not a history buff by any means, but I do find the World War II stuff the most interesting. I think the fact that that a party got that radical and was able to inspire that many people to do such terrible things and damn near took over the world was shocking, alarming, and incredibly interesting at the same time. So like kind of like a train wreck kind of thing. Like you don't want to watch it, but for some reason you just can't help it. So I'll definitely be checking out Robert Harris's Fatherland. Then I'm going to be reading John Williams' Stoner about a middle aged professor, a literary professor, and kind of just where he's at in life. And I know some other things go on. This is another one that I heard about from Books Are Sick. So I like that guy's taste in books. So I definitely wanted to throw this one in. This is going to be a more classic a literature piece, and I like that kind of stuff. Like the John Steinbecks and some of the other titles I'll have coming up here. So John Williams, Stoner, looking forward to this one. I guess I'm looking forward to all of them. I keep saying I'm looking forward to them. I mean, yeah, I mean that's why they're on the list. So maybe we could think of something else then. Looking forward to it. Empire of the Summer Moon. Quanah Parker and the Rise and Fall of the Comanches and the Most Powerful Indian Tribe in American History by S.C. Gwynne. I heard about this one from the Joe Rogan show. Like many other middle aged males, I listen to podcasts during the day while I'm working. It's something to listen to that you can learn new stuff and sometimes just have a laugh while you're working. So yes, I do listen to multiple podcasts while I'm working from home. So like to pass time that way. Joe Rogan's mentioned this one a few times. It sounds very interesting. Obviously, I live in Southeast Texas. There was quite a bit of Native American activity going on here throughout history, and this sounds interesting. They kidnap Quanah Parker. I know she gets kidnapped and she gets assimilated into Comanche culture so much so that she has I think she ends up having a child with like one of the warriors, and he ends up becoming pretty powerful. I think they even tried to rescue Quanah Parker at one point, and then she ended up going back. So the story sounds really interesting, and this is definitely on the read list for this year. See, didn't say looking forward to that one. Next is going to be Stephen King's Thinner. So Stephen King, yep, I can't help it. I try to not consistently read his novels, so I have more to talk about and just don't get stuck in like one kind of pattern of writing. But it's like a warm blanket. Like you just want to come back to it and get back into it. And that's exactly how I feel about Stephen King. Like I read other books, but then I'm always wanting to go back. He just you feel like you get to know his characters so well. I don't know how he does it so effectively, but you really feel like you know these people. Looking forward, up there it is again. Looking forward to it. This one should be interesting. I am hoping to get a few things out of this one that I haven't got out of some of his other books. So a lot of his other books that I've read are they're classified as horror, but they're mainly suspense novels with aspects of horror put into them. I'm looking for some more ongoing agony. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I, that kind of stuff when it's happening in literature kind of draws you in, and it's the nail biting like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this is happening, and then I want that to keep going. So hopefully this book can deliver the ongoing torture from a main character that I'm looking for. Going to be jumping into Tom Harris's The Red Dragon and the Hannibal Lecter series. I read this entire series again back when I was, 15, 16, pothead lifeguard, and I don't remember any of it. I, I, I know that like Hannibal Lecter's it's like my favorite horror series. The Silence of the Lambs and all that kind of stuff. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed all the movies. I really enjoyed the new adaptation of Hannibal with oh man, what's that guy's name? He has a cool name like Max something. It's not that. Um, I'll think of it. I'll probably think of it towards the end of the video. But it's really cool. Um, this is going to be a good one, and I'm hoping to retain more of this than I did back then. So I'll be spreading out those books throughout my reading list as well. I want to check out Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. I've seen this one recommended a couple times, but not too much out there on other book reviews. And I think it might be a fantasy sleeper that we're all not aware of. It's supposed to be about a disgraced knight escorting a girl that's got superpowers back through a time when the Black Plague was taking place. I've heard it gets really fantasy heavy, like spirits, like good and evil, like heaven and hell, that kind of stuff. This sounds really cool. I do know there's going to be a lot of king speak. I know I just kind of complained about that with Dune Part 2. So we'll see. I can only read so much of that. If it's so dialogue heavy like Dune read like a script, like I was reading a script and not a novel. And that was one of my main issues with it. So hopefully this one's a little bit more descriptive and a little bit more prose, and we can see what it looks like. Between Two Fires, Christopher Buehlman, definitely making the list for 2025 reads. Then I want to check out Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is a classic. Anybody who is a massive Keanu Reeves fan and his terrible acting is going to appreciate this. So this one should be interesting. This one will probably have elements of King Speak and old timiness to it, but that's okay. It's a classic. I like to read classic literature as well as some other stuff. So Dracula by Bram Stoker, making the list for 2025. And last, but certainly not least, is going to be Ann Rule, The End of the Dream, The Golden Boy Who Never Grew Up, and Other True Cases. I haven't seen this one on anybody's list. This is one that I really enjoyed the Netflix series How to Rob a Bank, about the Hollywood bank robber in the upper Northwest in the Seattle area. He seemed like such a cool guy that got pulled into a lifestyle that he really didn't fit the mold for, but he became so prolific and excelled at it at a point that to a point like nobody had. I think he was the uh, all time highest like bank robber. He robbed tons of banks, and his metamorphosis as a person, like drawing him, like he almost felt like he was two different people, and the tragic ending that happening, he was heavily inspired by the movie Point Break. And Point Break is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's one of the first movies I remember watching from my childhood. Another Keanu Reeves flick. Guilty, sorry. He's awesome. He's one of my favorites. Patrick Swayze's in there too, another badass. And every year for my birthday, we watch Point Break, or I watch it, and my wife sits there while I watch it. So this one is the true story of it, and I don't want to say I'm really looking forward to it, but this one I'm definitely more excited about than others. I was having a hard time even finding this book online. I wanted to know more about the story after I watched the Netflix series. So I started searching for books on Scott Skurlock is what his name is, and the book popped up, but it was really hard to find, and I didn't find copies that I wanted online. And then I'm not even kidding. We were in Half Price Books about a month ago, and just to see if they had it, I went to the true crime section, and there it was in a beat up old copy that I have sitting on my shelf now. So I'll be going through this one and excited about it because I find the guy pretty intriguing. It was pretty cool. He was like a real free spirit, real nice guy. Actually gave a lot of his money away to friends and certain kind of like environmentally friendly charities and things like that. So I'm hoping it gets a little bit more granular and into some more detail on his tribulations through going through that kind of lifestyle. So pretty exciting. So that is the top 15 that I'm looking to take on for 2025. Obviously, like I said, hopefully there's going to be some more time for some more books. I feel like I'm getting faster at reading books just because I've made it such a point to focus on it as like a personal, like one of my personal goals, like to keep reading. I'm working on one of my first novel. I'm about probably 75% of the way through, and I've always really liked literature. I've always really liked books and fiction and stories and learning new things through nonfiction. So that's what I'm looking to get out of it. Also, I'm using it as an alternative to not start scrolling on the phone. That you just can't stop. And then hours of your day are gone, and then I feel like I haven't done anything productive with my day, and I don't like it. I don't like the way it makes me feel. So I would say last spring is when I started really focusing on reading. Back then I set the goal with one book a month, and I've been inspired by other booktubers, book talkers, or whatever you want to call them to start this channel and hopefully talk more about literature. I'd like to talk about writing processes too, because I'm probably 6, 7 months into my novel, like over 80,000 words. And there's some crazy stuff that goes on writing a book. I'd like to talk more about that. I have a plan to come up with some more videos based around that, and just looking to start a conversation with like-minded people on some literature and some writing stuff. I think it'd be cool to start a book club. Comment down below. Let me know if you'd be interested in doing a book club with one of these titles with me, and we could do like live sessions and talk about what we've read in the book and set different page goals for the week and that kind of thing. As always, thanks for if you made it this far. I'm checking the time on the phone that I'm using as a camera, and it's 23 minutes. So if you made it this far into the video, hats off to you. Thanks for taking the time to see my opinion on what I think's good and what I'm interested in. So hopefully you're interested in that stuff too. Obviously, there are hiccups along the way, like I said, with the looking forward to it, but I do everything off the cuff. There's not a script. I'm not prepping any of this stuff out. I'm hitting play, talking about stuff I want to talk about, and everything's off the cuff. I don't like scripted stuff. It comes off scripted. It feels fake, and that's exactly what I don't want this channel to be, is fake, fake reviews. I just want to talk about books and read cool stuff and talk about writing. I'll stop on the tangent. That was my soapbox for the day. That's my top 15 for 2025. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe if you liked it. As always, thanks for stopping by. Keep reading. Talk soon.